Hi everyone, this is Killshot from 99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 9 Comic-Con Countdown. Yes, we had a little bit of a change of plans. I know we're going to do random things, but there's going to be no stream tomorrow night. And I wanted to, there's a preview of the Comic-Con in San Diego tomorrow, so just wanted to get this out there, start talking about it tonight. I have some questions, and I'm going to ask you as a group some of your questions that you would ask the panel. Some of you might be attending Comic-Con for 3 days, so if you are, hopefully you have a wonderful time, but we're going to break it down a little bit, talk about what you're looking forward to, what questions, good questions, some tough questions that might be asked, and who knows, maybe some AMC folks are checking out the stream to prepare for Comic-Con. Always a big deal, and we know the big news is the trailer, and honestly, there's not a whole lot else I care about except Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead at Comic-Con. So I want to say what's up to everybody that's here. Thank you for 2 nights in a row being back. So let me throw it out to the group. I see a few more people coming in. Good to see everybody. Chosen One, Khaleesi. I'm going to give some shout-outs in this video. Julie McGuire, good to see you as well. So is anyone going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, I guess, first and foremost? Anybody making the trip out there or anybody local that, who knows, maybe there's going to be some 999 Army folks out there representing, and this person will probably not be on the channel ever again. I love the block button. It is awesome. That's the wrong person, Steph. Mitch True just got timed out. We need to untime her out. Sorry, Michelle. I think they were trying to catch somebody else and they got you by accident. So we'll get you back in a little bit. All right, while we're figuring that out, let me ask the group here. So I'm seeing if anybody else is... Sonic, if you're saying when is Comic-Con, then definitely you're not going to be there. It is the preview's tomorrow night on the 18th. And we're getting all types tonight, everybody. Sorry. Moderators, you're going to be busy. Hello, Casey from Illinois. Right? Lakeisha, great comment. There you go. Michelle is back. All is forgiven, Michelle. Thank you for being here. We had a couple gangsters up in this chat. We had to deal with them. Lakeisha, that's some of what social media is all about these days. Nothing we can do about it. So, Walking Dead Nerd is going to be there rocking the 999 Army shirt. So, how many people are going to be there rocking the 999 gear? I guess that's a big question as well. And hopefully you get to get there and ask a question. So here's what we're going to do tonight. I know that 90-something% of the people watching this video and watching the stream are not going to be in Comic-Con, but I am going to come up with just a few things that we want to know, and I'm going to ask you to post a question and post something that you want someone to ask. And they could be tough questions and who they're directed to. So I'm going to just go right after it. I'm going to wonder if there's going to be a controversial question that's going to be out there. And let me say this. I think Yvette Nicole Brown moderating, I have interesting feelings with this. I love her approach to the show. I'm surprised that they got the super fan to do it and immediately go into that. I feel like she's going to get an unfair comparison to Chris Hardwick. How do you guys feel about that? I know a lot of people are saying they want Chris right side of elections. I think he's done. I don't think there's a way that they can bring him back. I think they're hoping it dies down, and it just doesn't feel like he's coming back. So Crystal Beauty says she thinks that she'll do a little bit better. I would have rather they had her do one or the other. I think it's too much too fast. Knowing the Walking Dead fans, I would have preferred to have her be a moderator on the show, or just have nobody, just, somebody unknown, and then move her in to Talking Dead. Something along those lines. I want to see a couple of comments to see. Shannon says, this would be a Comic-Con question. Will Season 9 mark the beginning or full departure of the comic series? Will the show now be its own story? So, I have a theory on that, Shannon. So, would that question be a Robert Kirkman question? The timing could not have been better. I think Mel from Fear the Walking Dead should have hosted this year's Comic-Con. What do you guys think? You guys think it should have been Mel? I'm going to ask the group right now. There you go. Well, Mel says yes. That didn't take long. Mel is the perfect complement of wonderful hair splashed with just enough Old Spice ego. It's that combination. I definitely think Mel could do an Old Spice commercial. That is actually a brilliant suggestion. So Mel says, on a serious note, why not an ex-cast member? That would have made too much sense. Why not have Steven Yeun do it? Why not have Michael Cudlitz do it? Why not have somebody else do it? Because they are friends, and because she's been on the couch so many times, I just wasn't a big fan of that choice. But if they let him go, I'm okay with her being on Talking Dead. I don't like this transition because I think it's awkward. I definitely think an ex-cast member would have been a much better decision. See, we have better decisions here than those guys. So Sonic EKB says, I just subscribed. You are my favorite YouTuber. Well, thank you. Sonic, you were one of my favorite subscribers. How about that? Appreciate that comment. You know what? Right side of elections, I would be okay with that. But the reason they're not going to have Chandler Riggs do it is because there's going to be some Carl questions. Carl. I mean, it's it's bad that he's not there. So this would be, I'm going to randomly jump around to some of the questions. And thank you so much, Mel, for that super chat as well. Thank you, Mason. Appreciate that. And Kurt Diggler is here for a live chat. Hey, glad to have you guys here live. So, Mel is writing a letter to Gimple. And, Mel, here's the thing. Give me a follow-up question. Doesn't have to be a super chat, because I appreciate that super chat as well. But give me a question, a very direct question that you would like to ask Scott Gimple. I'd like to see that. Pete D says she's a little too over the top. She's good as a fan, but not as part of show constantly. Pete, I guess that's a little bit of it remains to be seen, but let's throw that out there. Let's make that the super chat spotlight question. How do you think, in MD Grim Reaper, I can definitely see that. How do you think she will be as a host? I want to know everybody's, not compared to Chris Hardwick, just based on what you've seen. How do you think she will be as a talk show host? Maria says she would rather a guy host Talking Dead than a woman. Just her opinion. Christina Good said she interrupts the guests too much. Too much of a fangirl. Michelle M. doesn't like it. Yeah, a lot of lashback, and that's the thing, is I think some of it may be based on what we've seen from her, some of it because of the situation. Melinda says, I think she has a lot of passion for the show. Mitch True. Here's part of the problem that I foresee with her on that a show like that is she gives too much of what she wants the show to be and what she thinks is going to happen on the show. And on YouTube, you can do some of that. On television, I mean, there's YouTubers out there that give you their theory and push it on very, very strongly, that don't have as much open-ended debate like we do. And there's some that do really well. I just don't know how it's going to translate to TV, though. Yeah, Walani says she's my favorite Talking Dead guest. But there's a big difference between being a Talking Dead guest and being the person who's driving the vehicle. And Laura, that's a good point. If she has hosted other shows, I have not watched her as a host. So I just know what I've seen her as a fan. And as a fan, there's just a lot of things that'll have to change. Okay. I mean, that's going to be a big part of Comic-Con, is seeing how people react. I'm just reading through a couple comments here. Samantha Coombs says, aren't we kind of the Talking Dead in a way? Yeah, absolutely. So you know what? If Talking Dead comes on directly after Walking Dead, I'm not even waiting till 11 o'clock. I'm just going to stream simultaneous to it. And if you guys want to watch it in the background, that's what we'll do. But we're going to put in our own time slot. We're going to stick to it. So, Talking Dead does that hour delay. That's fine. But if they're on, we're just going to compete with them. Why not? Do our own thing. So Mel with the super chat says, and I think that's a great point. And this is not a it's not an attack on her ability, but because she has it's going to be one of two things. I think it's going to be hard for her to be that passionate fan. And if she changes, it's going to look fake. So either way, it's a tough sell. So Mel says they should keep her as a guest. They've allowed us viewers to become too accustomed to her opinions, and she's a fangirl. That's the exact thought I was coming up with, and Mel articulated a little bit better. That's why Mel should be the host of Talking Dead. Well, here's the real tale of the tape. Ratings. How many people here think... actually, let me change that. I'm not going to talk about... How many of you feel inclined to watch Talking Dead? If Walking Dead was on right now, and give me a couple reasons. If you'd watch it because there's a good guest, you won't watch it because of the host, you will watch it because of the host, or, I mean, there were times I found myself watching Talking Dead even if the guest was average because I kind of knew Chris Hardwick's thing. So I'm kind of curious how many people will watch Talking Dead. And I don't watch it every week anyway. The sneak peeks, Dakota Page. So C.R. Logan says, geez, how rude. Give her a chance before you go and cut her off. C.R. Logan, that's why we're having a conversation about it. Nobody's cutting her off. I mean, people have the right. It's not a question of being rude. It's a question of talking about it. That's what we do. We talk about Walking Dead. So there's several people. I'd watch it because I like it. I like the content. I like the guest. I like the review of the episode. Denise Hopkins would watch it. I watch it because of the guest. Jason says, I will watch because of the show itself, plus I like the post-reaction of the show. Mock Studio says, I believe in her. MD, too much of a fan for me to enjoy the opinions. Right side of elections would watch. Kim Parnham says she'll be a great host. So I think like most, people are going to put their foot in the water and see. We will get a good indication to see how Comic-Con goes down. All right, good. This was the first 20 minutes was the Yvette Nicole Brown show. Very interesting, though, to see how the panel is going to act and some of the comments. I still agree with that, Mel. I would rather have seen an ex-cast member do Comic-Con. And if AMC is going to part ways, part ways. You know what? That's a great question. MD Grim Reaper wants to know, will some of the fans at the panel boo her? I'm not asking if any of you would, and that would definitely be, back to Logan's point, that would be extremely rude and completely unfair. It's not her fault she's getting the that's a bad play on words. Her talent is what's given her the opportunity. But will some people all right, some people are saying no. Let me ask this question. Are there people that come into our live streams and type rude comments because they're rude? Yes or no? I mean, Lakeisha said it a little bit ago, right? Why is it almost every time we do a stream, we get that person or those people? So if they will come in here with this group as tight-knit as this group is, and as much fun as this group is, I would absolutely say there is going to be some lashback. It's going to happen. Well, I wouldn't either, Chaos. I don't think anyone in this stream would boo her. I think we all have our opinions and we all have our likes and we have our dislikes. But that's kind of the point, isn't it? And doesn't that make more sense to go with Mel's idea? So let's say she does, even though she does a great job. Let's say there's some people who don't want her to be there yet. Emmy says haters will hate. But let's go back to Mel's point. If Abe was there, if Michael Cudlitz was there and he was running the panel, he wouldn't get booed. So I think it would have been a safer play. I definitely think that would have been a better idea. But let's hope for the best. All right. I want you to, everybody do me a favor. And I want you to think of a Scott Gimple question. And type it right now. Give me a question. If you were right there and you could stand up and ask Scott Gimple anything, what would you ask him? And yes, this is a trick. So, two of the questions are ready. Julie McGuire says, why did you kill Carl? Daniel says, why did you decide to kill off Chandler? Bryn Gilligan says, Scott. Okay, there you go. Gina Crockett right there. And I love Gina Crockett. So the question she would stand up would say, are you on drugs? Now, Gina, that's rude. But I did this on purpose because I knew that the Scott Gimple feelings and animosity was going to come out. And the reason I asked that question is because we can have people come into our stream and make comments, and people have animosity toward Scott Gimple, but yet not Yvette Nicole Brown. It's going to happen. So just prepare for it. Chris Hardwick has a big fan base, and because he does have a big fan base, people are not going to be comfortable with that decision. And I missed Mel's question way back when. Northside Queen said, how many seasons are left for The Walking Dead? Well, that he's not going to answer. All right. Mel's got me completely confused right now. He's like super chatting me, and it's kind of comical, actually. So instead of typing the question again, he said, I already typed my question, and you missed it. Okay. All right. Now hopefully he'll just type it, and we can cut and paste it. So BK Harp says, I might ask him, what did Chris do that was so bad? All right, sounds good. Daniel says, Scott Gimple, can I join the show? Denise, I agree with you 100%. And Denise says, I don't get why people are so mad at Scott Gimple. I don't either. I have no negative feelings toward him whatsoever. I think he's a good employee. He cares about the show. He has a passion for the show. And if he writes something I don't like, I can disagree with it. But I have no personal ill will toward him whatsoever. But, I mean, that's the first thing. When there's a bad decision on the show, it's like, yeah, this feeling toward Scott. I just get the feeling, and I can't get it across to everybody. I understand that. But I got a feeling if you wanted somebody to run your show that was passionate and cared about the story and just put everything they had into it, I think he's your guy. I'd love to ask him questions. It's a good point, Fluff. He's going to upset people no matter what he does. That's a great point. So here, this would be my question. So, and you know what? Maybe I'll stand up and ask him next year. I'm not going to be there in person, but next year I may stand up in my 999 Army T-shirt and say, "Hi, Scott. This is Killshot from the 999 Army, and I would like to ask, do you take fan reaction into consideration whenever you make a tough decision for the show?" That would be my question. And hopefully, 2 or 3 people would say, "Hey, I know this guy." Maybe the crowd would erupt. Who knows? But that's what I would want to know. I would want to know when they're talking about storylines and how they want things to go down, do they ever draw something up and go back and say, this can't happen because the fans are going to boycott. The fans are going to riot. And maybe as a follow-up, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that stress level, knowing that millions of people are potentially going to turn on you? I like that. Fluff Salisbury said, "Scott, can you Lucille the like button?" That might work out well, too. All right, let me get back to Mel's question. And this is Vulture Mel from Fear the Walking Dead. We got a legend in the house. So his question is to Scott Gimple, how do you decide who lives or dies this season? What went in that decision? I know a couple of those, and I think one would be life. I bet he would answer the question 3 ways, Mel. One would be outside opportunities or life opportunities. One would be ways to positively move the story along. And the last one would probably be to start to differentiate the show from the comics. Now, he would answer it a lot more sneaky and cryptic and more vague than I just answered, because that's the beauty of his answers. But I would definitely see those three as options. So, Cuervo Queen, who had a birthday yesterday, says her question would be, if you could only save one out of the characters, who would you choose and why? That's a great question, too. And you know what? Steph, we already know the answer to that. The answer to that would be Tara. And the why would be Pete D. That's exactly the way he would say, if I could only choose one, it would be Tara, and it's because of Pete D. All right, why we're getting to the next question that I would have you ask, and I'm going to pick a character to ask it to. I do want to give another special shout out and say thank you to all the patrons, all the sponsors, and also we have a brand new sponsor on the channel as well. So I do want to give a shout out to Jessica McWhorter. Thank you so much for your contribution and your support of the 99 Army and the 99 Gaming channel. So appreciate that. That's like a brief commercial interruption. Had to get a commercial in there. Now stay tuned for a word from our sponsors. And if you guys could all Lucille that like button, just hit it. Hit the like button. Slide your mouse over to the left side of the screen. It's the one with the thumbs up. Just do it. I know you can do it. Make it happen. And also, once this video goes live, make sure you leave comments to the people that are leaving comments, because not everybody can watch it live. We do streams at a bunch of variable times, and many of our viewers watch the playback. I know a couple weeks ago we did a stream, and it was a live stream too, which was pretty interesting. Like 30,000 people watched the playback, so awesome stuff. And when you're doing, an hour, hour and a half, in some cases, that was a nice crowd. And it is ramping up. As we get closer and closer to Comic-Con, we get some very passionate people. Brittany Bryan wants to know, are we talking Rick tonight, or did I miss it? Well, Brittany, we are, because I think that's going to be one of the questions. And I think that's an obvious question that Andrew is going to have to, I think he needs to answer the question before the question is asked, because there's going to be so many people want to know. So, Mig says, Gimple, why did you change the storylines up? That is not really a Gimple decision. That was a Robert Kirkman idea or belief that it needed to happen. That I know. Jason, Mixologist Daily, says, my question to Scott would be, Scott, if you could do a more graphic version of the Walking Dead spinoff series on HBO, what group? Ooh. That is a very, very good question, and we're going to get back to that in 1 second. And Jason, that's a great idea. I'm going to jump over to the Super Chat. Mel Vulture says, last question before I go, question for Kills. Do you ever wonder if you'd be very surprised if one of your Super Chatters turned out to be someone connected to the show in some way? Mel, absolutely not. I will tell you that out of this group, I am positive that there are people in the stream that are connected with the show. Whether that be you or whether that be other people that I know we have a very wide net this cast, and we got a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. Some are fans of just getting together and hanging out. Some are diehard, passionate people with the show. Some are connected to the show. and Steph and Mel, as a follow-up to your super chat, Steph would like to know if she can run her fingers through your great hair. But I have a follow-up question. So hold on. I don't do this a lot. But I am going to ask my own super chat question for Mel, the Vulture, who we all wanted to live. And it's a two-part question. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask everybody here to ask if Mel was on the panel, and he should have lived. If Mel was on the panel at Comic-Con, what would be your question for Mel? I got two. Number one, was Mel really a villain? That's an easy one. And number two, did you eat those hot dogs without condiments that you cooked? I have to know. Michelle wants to know who did your hair. All right. And thank you so much. I do want to give a special shout out for Mel. Mel has been a phenomenal guest through the past, 2 months? And thank you for the super chats. I mean, more than generous, and appreciate your support for the channel. And if we don't get an answer, the next time we see you in a stream, we will remember. I want to know about those hot dogs. I will say that, and the first time we saw Mel pop in, I think was the week before, maybe 2 weeks before Alicia shot him. We thought his character had a nice future, and was a little bit surprised they killed him off. But he was starting to grow on some people. Now his brother, no. And thank you so much, Mel. Appreciate you being here, and hopefully with the second half Fear the Walking Dead, when we do the walker spinning around in tornadoes, that we'll get to see that. And his hair is magic. So there is going to be a Fear the Walking Dead panel. And let me throw this out there to the group. And you don't have to be partial just because Mel's here. But if you could go back last season in either Fear the Walking Dead or The Walking Dead, and there's one character that you would like to bring back, which character would it be? And then I'm going to get to a couple more questions that we would ask the panel. Because there's some specific people that I would like to ask questions to and see what your questions would be. So we got, Julie says Carl, Carrie says Nick, Pete says Simon, Carl, Nick. Just last season, no Shane, no Andrea. Carl, Nick, Simon, Nick. A lot of Nick fans. Abraham, season before. Graylin. Just last season. Cindy says Madison. There. Hey, Valerie says Mel. I would say, here's a couple people. Simon, as a villain, would be one that I would bring back. I don't like the fact that Negan killed him off. I would like for Simon just to go off on his own. Nick, I wasn't a big fan of Nick's character. I mean, you guys know. You guys know me from the streams. Madison as well. But the two characters that I really, and not just saying this because Mel is here, but if you guys remember from the streams, we wanted Mel to take the group or to be able to join in the group, and we also wanted Simon. So Mel and Simon were two of the ones that I thought had a lot of potential. And I was very surprised that both of them died. And I think with Mel, there was, I don't know if they could make him, if they wanted to make him a villain, if they could make him a villain fast enough, and maybe that's why they couldn't. But yeah, I thought it was a little short-lived. But part of that was the whole gray area. And hopefully you guys remember the streams, because we did say that Fear the Walking Dead was, they were straddling that balance between who was good and who was bad. And almost every character had those dual traits. You could see it in almost every person. You know, what Morgan left behind and what Morgan was trying to become. We've seen the good side and the bad side of Nick. We've seen, you know, the good side and the bad side of Mel. We saw the good side and the bad side of Madison, Alicia, Strand. So, you know, definitely some intent there. I thought they did a tremendous job with it. Troy as well, right? So here are some of the obvious questions that are going to be asked. Will Andy leave? Will Lauren leave? Will Denai leave? And I don't think they're going to be answered, and I don't know how they're going to be interjected. Because the rumors that are out there are 3 major characters could leave. And I did see that Whiskey Cavalier is going to have a small booth or small section at Comic-Con. That's interesting. Okay, so the Angela Kang, see, Mel, here's what's funny. I don't think she outright did it, but they did talk. The interview that I saw was they talked about how it's never easy with change. It was almost like a Gimple scripted interview. It was very similar to what he used to say. So, Brittany, I'm absolutely, and I'm not going to change that. I might be sitting here extremely wrong. So, Brittany Bryan says, I know you're behind the Rick surviving theory, which leaving the door open makes sense and would keep the character alive. It's kind of odd Lincoln hasn't confirmed, and I still hope they have hope for that to happen. When the news broke, and when we even reported from the Spoiling Dead fan page, when they said we have confirmation, and other people started messaging like, hey, Kills, this is what's going down. So either they had the same sources or they conferred with each other, and then the rumor came out that there were multiple scenes filmed in that, and then Spoiling Dead's fan page kind of backed off it a little bit. There's a lot of tricking going on, but I still feel very passionate about that, only because you don't take your franchise out. You can't. You couldn't kill Captain Kirk when Star Trek was just becoming a TV show, and you couldn't, you can kill main characters, but he means a lot financially to the franchise. Yeah, and Brittany, I don't think it's a question of money if he does leave, because I think he could almost write his own check. Yeah, Mel, if it's out there and I missed it, I would love to see it. I'm just reading through a couple comments. I can't look for it right now, but I'll definitely, if you have it, go ahead and link it, or I'll check for it after the show. So what I do want to do is I want to ask the group here, and I know we kind of directed it at what you would ask Gimple, or what you'd ask maybe Yvette Nicole Brown. So of any character on the show, besides the two that we've already mentioned, I want you to think of one question if you were sitting in the audience right now. And which character you would ask it to. All right. Thanks, Mel. I will definitely check it out. Because I want to see her exact verbiage. It's funny, Fluff. What's up, Joey Price? Yeah, I know there's a lot of conversations going on, but if you guys missed it, Mel's last super chat was in reference to Angela Kang talking about the exit, Lauren's exit from the show. But I'll check out the Hollywood Reporter interview. The link, no, the link won't show up in a stream. Actually, Mel, go ahead and try the link. Post the link if you have it, and I'll see if we can. I might be able to allow it. Yeah, it looks like a couple other people saw the interview, but no. Yeah, it may post. Okay, yeah, never mind. when the video goes live, Mel, if you could do me a favor, post it in the comments. And I know if you post it in the comments, I'll be able to look it up. And I can authorize it because I think some people watching the playback in the stream, they would want to see that as well. So if you can do that, it'll definitely let me do that. Cool. All right. So Steph, what is your question for Daryl? I'm gonna jump into a couple of these questions. I'm going to tell you guys right now, and I swear to you, this would be my question, and it would be for Robert Kirkman. I would stand up and say, Robert Kirkman, have you ever heard of the 999 Army? I would just ask that question, and I want to see his reaction. And I'm going to ask all of you, post your question right now. Hopefully they'll check that out. But if I ask that question to Robert Kirkman, what do you think his answer would be? Now, sadly, he'd probably say no. Because I do know that Hippo went to one of the Walker Stalkers and asked Seth Gilliam, and he was like, just want to say, give a shout out to the 999. He had no idea who we were. And then he asked, who was it? I think he had 2 or 3 people that were there. Maybe like 20 people should stand. That, Lakeisha, I would like to see. So here's the deal. I'm strongly leaning toward San Diego Comic-Con next year. And then if we do it, maybe we'll have a 999 dinner, whoever's going to be there. And we'll video it and post it. Maria says, ask Daryl, how do you want to have your character changed? Well, if they don't know us this year, they will know us next year. So how about that? Because the group is growing. It's a very positive group. I think of a lot of people out there that talk about talk shows and talk about things. There's just enough. Right side, can you just move on? You've been talking about the same thing for. See, I knew that was going to happen. It's like I tried to warn, but I knew somebody was going to time him out. So, yeah, just move on, man. Thank you, Emmy. Emmy put the smack down. Cindy D said, I would ask, when will it snow in the apocalypse? Cindy, when they stop filming in Georgia. All right, we're going to get to a couple more comments here because we're about 55 minutes. Ron says when they come to Canada. You know what, David? We could probably have a whole stream about what we would do in a zombie apocalypse. I'm going to save that for a random things stream, though. All right, everybody, we're at 55 minutes. This is it. You got one last question. I need your best. The gloves are off. So I know a lot of times we ask the questions and we structure it a certain way. Whatever you want to ask it right now, because we're going to wind the stream down just in a couple minutes. So, Steph, what do you want to ask Daryl? Post your question. What would I ask one of the characters? Let me think. I'm going to come up with one more good question because they've been about the group so far. So I want to know one person, one question. Post it right now. Let's see it. Fluff says, I'm serious. I'd ask Kirkman if The Walking Dead and Breaking Bad are in the same universe. There have been hints. I think it's a good question. David, Comic-Con preview starts tomorrow night. Comic-Con starts on Thursday. BK says, but they're supposed to be in D.C. It should be some snow and ice. That is correct. And they are getting back to the, limits on fuel, limits on food, limits on electricity. So maybe we will see snow in the near future. Mel says, Andrew, did Rick tell everything that Dr. Jenner told him in the CDC? No, probably not. But that would be something that I think needs to be talked about before he leaves. And maybe they will make a big deal about that. DDA Ohio says, I would ask Scott Gimple how much money he saved by releasing Chandler Riggs. So, DDA, we could probably do some of the math with that. He'd probably been up for about $200,000 an episode, maybe. He wouldn't have gotten, the high rent that Rick, Daryl, or Negan get. But $200,000 episode, he was probably making about $30K an episode, $170,000 raise times 16 episodes. Yeah, a couple $1 million that they saved. I mean, I'm sure they could afford it. Maria Bello is alpha. They won't confirm that. It's a good question, but they won't confirm, I don't think. Well, maybe they will. Maybe they'll say, hey, just want to let you know that the Whisperer storyline. Stephanie, I think you have a right to post that. I'm not going to read it because if I read it, it might not come through the same way as if you said it. How about that? David Brooks says, Negan will escape his cell. That'd be a question or not a question for Jeffrey Dean? Dawn of the Frank, I would ask Jeffrey Dean Morgan, how big will his part be in Season 9? That's a good question. That would actually be something I want to know because, the rumor is he doesn't have a very big part in the first 4 or 5 episodes and then it'll ramp up. All right, we got time for just a couple more questions. Maria asked why none of... Maria, not just that, why none of the nuclear plants ever exploded, but there are a lot of issues. Like, here's something I always wanted to know. Why are none of the characters driving Lamborghinis? Because I think, who was it? Was it David Brooks? Somebody asked me a little bit ago, Kills, what would you do in a zombie apocalypse? One of the things that I would do is I would probably get in a Lambo and see if I could get it up to about 220. I mean, there's no speed limit, right? Follow-up question. Don't judge anybody in the stream. Why do we never see anyone getting high in a zombie apocalypse? I mean, look, I'm just saying, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of pressure in the world, and probably more so during a zombie apocalypse, but why is there not some weed garden or something in the back of someone? You got tomatoes, but Just a question. You're telling me out of all those people, I mean, we see them looking for 50-year-old scotch. Yeah, it'd be growing. It'd be like 10 feet high, wouldn't it? Just, I don't know. I would ask that in a panel. And I definitely am not going to end this stream talking about people smoking and driving 220 miles an hour in Lamborghini. But they're just things that you want to know. So one of the streams, we'll get together and we'll talk about things that just don't. And actually, I do want to talk about that because Angela Kang has said that the show is going to get back to some of its roots. Pun. Yeah, you guys get it. But it's going to get back to the old way. So maybe we will see some of that stuff. But at least somewhere along the way, I'd like to see. I mean, we got to see a yacht. We got to see more of that stuff in Fear than we did in The Walking Dead. Kel says, Kills, does it grow that high? I don't know. I haven't seen the pictures of your backyard on Facebook in a long time, but I would say it's a possibility. That's another good point. Steph says, how come they never run across famous people in the apocalypse? Because there is a, you know what? Steph just gave me a great idea. Somewhere out there is a secret billionaire society that might be unveiled in future seasons. How about that, Steph? That's why, to answer your question. They're in the safe houses. Good call. And in one of our streams, we will name them. Oh, The Purge. Same universe, right? Oh, no. You know what, Fluff? On that note, we are going to wind it down. I want to say thanks to everybody for being here, your involvement in the channel. Make sure you guys hit the like button. We got a ton of people watching, a ton of people watching the playback as well. I think 500-600 people by the time this video goes live either jumped in and out, been involved in it. A lot of good comments. Thank you so much for posting the questions you would ask for Comic-Con. We will stream again Thursday night. So Thursday night we'll have some more Comic-Con information as it starts to filter in. Hopefully we'll get some stuff as it's rolling out. I know several people have already said, hey, they're going to be there and they're going to send stuff directly to me. So as we get some news and get some info, I'll get it posted to you guys as quick as possible. So once again, I want to say thanks to all the patrons that are out there. Say thanks to all the sponsors. I want to say thanks to all the 999 Army. Also the super chatters tonight, and especially Mel, super duper super chatting tonight. So appreciate having you here, and definitely thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. If you guys are watching the playback, this is the closing credits, and I'll try to do as many shout-outs we possibly can. If you're brand new to the channel, you can look in the bottom right corner. There's a little 999 logo. You can slap that, and then you'll be subscribed, and you'll get notifications when we do streams, and we do this stuff almost every night. But there will not be a stream tomorrow night. So we will kick this back off Thursday night at 9:30. Look forward to seeing everybody then. Give me a quick 999 so we can do some shout-outs. And thank you so much, everybody. I want to say what's up to Julie McGuire, also DDA Ohio, my moderators, Emmy, Steph, Tommy, Kels. You guys are wonderful. Tough jobs tonight, so we did have a few of the those people. But the moderators did excellent jobs, so nice work there. Mock Studios, thank you. Paul Eagle, Grayland, Lakeisha, thank you for being here. Mig, thank you for being here. Psycho Rooster in the house. Michelle M. Mr. Diaz. Or Mr. Daz. Sorry, it was streaming. Sandy D. Walani. Howling Wolf. Tracy Fisher, thank you. Maria Favada. Carol Stevens. David Brooks. Lakeisha, always a pleasure. Appreciate you being here. Ron Burgundy, Dakota Page, Sam B. Fluff, Sergeant Chosen One, Pete M. Lisa Calisi, thank you. Bumblebee Brown, Bryn Gilligan, Sensational. Jason, the Mixologist Daily. And if you guys are wondering that the people have their names highlighted in green, have all the custom emojis, the 999, they actually have badges as well. Those badges are sponsorships. It's down below in the description. So if you sponsor the channel, you do get the badges. And we're probably going to do a special live stream just for the sponsors. Stay tuned for that. It's probably going to happen in August. But if you guys like hanging out, you like doing some of the random things, I do want to do just something a little extra for the patrons and also the sponsors. So we're going to add a couple different streams. Don't want anybody to feel left out, but I want those people to be able to feel like there's just a little bit more out there. So thank you for everything that you guys do. I'll talk about one of the random things videos, and we'll figure out a theme and how we're going to get together. I know we talked about Freestyle Fridays at one point, but I want to do it at a time that's kind of works for everybody. Thank you so much, Ali from Argentina. Appreciate you being here. Casey from Illinois, thank you. Mitch True, hey, we got off to a rough start, Michelle, but you got timed out and untimed out inadvertently, so thank you. Dawn of the Frank, appreciate that. Always a great stream with you guys. Appreciate you being involved. Melinda Kettler, thank you so much. Tommy, Jill, little Tommy, you get the family shout out, absolutely. June Smith in New Jersey. Thank you, June. And if I miss anybody in a shout-out, we just get a lot of people. I can't hit everybody. I try to get as many streaming up there as possible. But just leave it in the comments when the video goes live. Thank you so much, Samantha Coombs. And if you do get a shout-out, leave some comments when the video goes live as well, too. So the people watching the playback just get somebody to interact with as well. Thank you so much, Ghostface. Appreciate it. Dwayne Sharp. What's up, man? Thank you so much. Thank you, Alani. And once again, I do want to give another special shout out, Kelly Golanzanier. Thank you so much. To Jessica McWhorter, a brand new patron supporting the channel. Appreciate everything that you guys do, and I will talk to you all Thursday night at 9:30. Thank you, BK. Appreciate it. Peace.